Hey guys, it's Imran back with a crypto options vol update. Let's have a little look, see what has been going on in vol this week. Quite a lot of action yesterday, markets breaking down to the downside, a load of liquidations. So let's see what the impact has been on vol. So here we've got the at the money versus realized. So we were flatlining at around low 40s for most of the week. Realized was chilling in the low 30s. So there was a nice positive carry of about 10 vol points there for most of the week. And then suddenly we had this breakdown. At the money, 1 week stuff has jumped, got to highs of 57, has settled back down a touch to 42. So it's up about 10 points on the week. But there you see those spikes triggered by a big move, and then they're pretty quick to come and hit it back down. Variance risk premium 15 vols right now. So if you don't think this turns into something super sinister, then there's clearly some juice here to be had in selling that front end. Ethereum obviously has been the more volatile animal, has had no real variance risk premium for quite some time, or certainly not as much as Bitcoin. The vols did get down to kind of 52, but started working their way back up because it was quite choppy last week. It was still having some decent swings. If you look here, got as high as 83 on the 1 week earlier today, this morning, and then has faded back down quite considerably off that nearly 10 vol point. So ETH, though, having some massive moves, smashed down there to 2400 and below, actually, and kind of really putting some pain in the market. Looking at the term structure, you see the back end of the vol has been under pressure. So on the week, if you look at even March, so like 1 month stuff is down 3.5 vols, back end is down 2, April getting hit by 4.5 points. So quite a decent vol compression in the back end, but it's really the front that caught a bid overnight. Obviously, it was getting pressured, but now it's flipped. And we've got about a 12 vol point increase in the weeklies for this week. ETH is up 13 on the weeklies, and then similar story, small up for next week, and then down about 3 vols, going down to about 1.5 in the long end. So we are seeing kind of like a flattening down of that back end. You look at the riskies as well. What we're seeing, puts catching a bid in the front, especially in Ethereum. In fact, I'll show that on the different charts, actually, probably better here. So looking at the time series of the vol, you can see, we were trending lower across all the maturities. Front end did get smashed into Friday as usual, then has bounced out of it again, which is pretty usual. So that's kind of how it's played out. And Ethereum spiking there, as we saw, up to 83 in the front end, and then a bit more stable in the back end. Looking at skew, really it's the short-term skew that does most of the action. Long-term skew has been catching a bit of a bid for calls, surprisingly. So if you look at long-end calls, there are sort of 2-ish. Long-end calls are now closer to 4-ish in Bitcoin. But if you look at the puts got to minus 4.5. Well, 4.5 for put premium. When it's negative, it means it's put premium, and they're kind of there or thereabouts. They're giving a little bit back now. But they're kind of clearly showing a bit of a bias towards puts in the front end. Now, Ethereum was more dramatic. It did have a go on Friday and got down to 10 vols for puts in the front end. Obviously, weakness on Friday, but we recovered only to then sell off again. But this time, the put skew hasn't quite got to where it was on Friday. Maybe that's a little bit of a good sign that people are not bending over backwards. But I mean, the puts are still trading at 6 vol premium, though, so you can't say that people don't want puts. There's clearly a demand for puts now. But looking in the long end, the long end call skew is pretty stable at around just shy of 4 vols. All right, that is what I'm seeing there. We jump over to the relative value just to look at it slightly differently. The ETH Bitcoin spread has continued to widen in the front, but if you look out to kind of June onwards, even April, it's done very little, that spread. It's at about 13 vols in April, but the front end has spiked to 30 vols today. So really, ETH Gamma is where it's at. That's what people want, and they're willing to pay 30 vols more than Bitcoin Gamma for it. So quite dramatic, but the realized kind of makes sense, right? If we look back at what the realized differential is, Parkinson realized 7 days 75-ish on ETH versus 37, 38, right? It's almost double, pretty much double. That's pretty nuts, right? So you're looking at basically a 35 plus spread on the realized. So it's being just that spread we're seeing there is being justified. All right, and then just lastly on the skews, another way of kind of looking at the skews, you can see here the long end skews not doing a ton, going up very slightly for calls, but then that inflection point from a week ago is around that March area where we flip aggressively into puts down to -4 on Bitcoin and down to -10 we got to on Ethereum, basically. So really steepening that term structure of skew, showing that in the near term, everyone's crapping themselves about more downside, but it has not changed the picture. We have not seen, when we see the long-term skew on both these charts flip into put premium, that's when we can say the options market has decided where the bull market may be done, basically, right? I mean, I think I think it's a really good regime indicator. It's been so persistently for calls throughout this entire bull market that, you know, I think when that goes, we need to pay attention, and it hasn't gone yet. Okay, so that's encouraging. That's telling us that this is still viewed as a correction in a bull market. I think we'd need to slice through 80,000 on Bitcoin to the downside to then be like, uh-oh. And then people actually saying, okay, have we seen the top, right? For a while, basically. And it's not, I'll just buy the dip because we're going back through 100 pretty soon. Yeah. So that's kind of my thoughts there and what I'm seeing in the vol and the skew. All right. That's it for today's one. Catch you all next week.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. Remember, this is just a little taster of what we do at Options Insight. To get access to all our research, including my in-depth vol market insights and a whole lot more, you can sign up at options-insight.com. I'll see you soon.